So we're going to bring in a couple of wonderful coaches from the Illinois area, Andrew Iola from Bradley, and then we have Vance Pierce from University of Illinois at Chicago. We're going to be debating some really fun topics. First of all, though, how are you two doing? How are you feeling? Are you enjoying NSC so far?
Yeah, absolutely. Ready to debate Vance here.
I had some great poetries and impromptus, and I'm excited to be here. Andrew, get ready.
All right, get started. We're going to have some questions that are going to pop up. We're going to have a timer that's going to show up too. When that timer gets to 0, we're going to have a bell that goes off. I'm going to stop you when that happens. We're going to move on to the next question. We have 10 questions to get through, 1 minute apiece. So here we go with our midday entertainment debate. Andrew, you're up first. Here we go. And should we get rid of black books? Go.
Okay, so I think that there's some good arguments for getting rid of them in certain events. I would support getting rid of them in like DI and possibly Duo. But all the other events, I really like them just because it pays an homage to the author's intent. And I just think it kind of looks cool, honestly. I think it gives credit to the literature. So that's what I would say is those two events, DI definitely, possibly Duo.
On my end, I think honestly, leave it up to the interpreter. If they want to use a script, let's keep it. But if they want to get rid of it in prose, and poetry, I'm open to it. Back in the day, books also didn't have to be black. If you want to bring in a pink book, a green book that matches your interp, I am so ready for it. It's all about what the student wants in order to make this activity grow a little bit faster and make it a little bit more fun.
All right, that sounds awesome. So I will just say that's fantastic. I also want to point out to everybody who doesn't know it, if you haven't put 2 and 2 together yet, books are not a requirement at NSC. It's just not even, we don't even talk about books in the rules. So if you want to use them, cool. If you don't, cool. But it's never been in the rule book. So enjoy that little bit of information if you didn't. And I hope you're not getting into a fight with your coach right now about something because of that. All right, our next question is, which is the better speech event, prose or extemp? Vance, you're up first. Let's go.
Okay, I want to go first and tell everyone, if you did not know, extemp is the better event. Where else can you do a character pop? You can cite a statistic and somehow make the audience laugh about what you know. Prose can't do it. Yes, it's a narrative, but you can do that in extemp too. Whenever you get the chance, let's try a question. Let's try 30 minutes worth of prep and then leave it out there for the audience to digest all the things that you know. Prose is good, extemp is way better, and you're going to use it in the real world.
All right, because this is a debate, I'm going to take prose, obviously, but I will say outright that I love all events equally, and I love extemp. But here's my argument for prose. It's one of the events where we learn how to connect with people, where we don't get to hide behind much of anything, and it's just you connecting with your audience. You learn how to find your voice, and ultimately, no one's going to believe the statistics or arguments you have, even in the real world, unless you can convey them in an honest way, which prose teaches us to do.
All right. Prose and extemp, make your own call. Go ahead right now in the chat. What do you think is better, prose or extemp? Post it in there. It's going to be fun. And along the way, whenever we have these, if you want to be typing in the chat with what you think is your answer, go ahead. We'll have the debate openly as well. Okay, our next question. Would you want to see a national tournament, one-on-one, March Madness style for speech? One team against another team, single elimination all the way to the national tournament. We'll do 64 teams. All right, ready? Andrew, up first. Let's go.
Okay, so I'm a huge March Madness fan. I don't follow college basketball like I used to, but I love the concept. I think it generates a lot of excitement. I think as long as it does generate excitement for college forensics, then I'm all for it. And I think we're at a place now in the activity where it could be healthy competition. It doesn't have to be like, I don't know, super dramatic or petty. It could just be fun. So I would support it. I think any sort of new initiative, new kinds of tournaments keeps things exciting, keeps people coming back for more. So, yeah.
I like that idea, Andrew, and I think it could bring some excitement to the activity. My only problem, how do we pick the 68 teams to bring? We don't want them to be in regions because the regions would be spread out all the way from Illinois to Texas to Florida to New York. So that's my only thing about this. Let's bring the excitement. Let's bring the madness. But how are you going to pick them? And after all, that is what Nationals is supposed to be, excitement. But that selection, that qualifying process is going to be hard to manage.
All right. Really good question. We're going to jump into another one, which is, here we go, Rhetorical questions in CA?
I'm up first. I do love a good research question, but there is not a judge who has not sat back and said, why? Because you get that dramatic delivery, which raises today's question. How do you make McDonald's enjoyable for 3 people on $5? By the time they finish that rhetorical question, we are literally sitting there like, please hurry up. And so I love the idea of giving us direction and framing for the event, but I think we can do without the rhetorical questions sometimes.
Yeah, I have to agree with Vance. I know we're debating, but like for me, if it's an effective thesis statement, it would guide the entire speech. So do I still coach crit with like, research questions? Of course. I think it's become normative, and I think a lot of people don't realize that we didn't always have research questions, that they've kind of come, I don't know exactly when. Vance, you can probably attest to that better than I can, but they weren't always here.
Oh, I love that subtle dig of age. I think we all sensed it.
End.
On that note, I have another question for you. What school has the most enjoyable mascot? Andrew, you're up first.
Okay, I have to go with my alma mater, Concordia College. They're the Cobbers, okay? It's a corn cob. I'm not even kidding. We've made so many like top 10 lists of most ridiculous mascots, and it's because the college, like the Fargo-Moorhead area, is surrounded by cornfields. So, and who doesn't like corn, and who doesn't like corn on the cob? Colonel Cobb is the actual mascot. He's got like these bushy eyebrows. He looks really angry. I knew a few people during my time at college that would dress up as Colonel Cobb. So gotta respect the Colonel.
Okay, since we're gonna go with loving our alma mater, I'm gonna have to drive down the road and head to Peoria. And don't take it personal, Andrew, but the most enjoyable mascot has to be Kaboom. Kaboom is a gargoyle that represents the Braves. Can you see any other school mix 3 different things into a mascot and then give it a name that nobody understands? That is Kaboom. That is the Bradley mascot. That's why it wins.
All right, well, Kaboom it is in this one, but I also really do enjoy a good corny mascot. Okay, the next one, of course, is your national tournaments and your own tournaments. They don't count, but what tournament is better than all the rest? You're up.
Okay, I have to admit this. I love some of the big national tournaments. I love the Norton out of Peoria. But when it comes to a tournament that touches my heart, it has to be Eastern Michigan's Judy Sturgis Hill Tower Invitational. Not only does the team put a lot into that tournament, but what other way can we say thank you and give flowers to one of the pioneers in this activity, but by naming a tournament after her and trying to honor the legacy of being a trailblazer, a communicator, and honestly a parent to many students on the circuit that were never a part of her team. Judy Sturgis Hill, that's the best tournament for me.
I'll have to go with the Halloween swing between Omaha and Doane in Nebraska. As a competitor, it was always my favorite tournament just because they give out candy. It's a fun time of year. Their themes are always on point. And I know we as a team always like traveling to Omaha because they do such an exceptional job hosting. So shout out to them for always providing a good tournament experience.
Yeah, that sounds great. I love both of those. I also am a huge fan of the Tower. I went there 17 years in a row before I left the whole speech coaching thing. I loved it. Every single year was a big deal. So good job out to those folks. And then also everybody in Nebraska, I'm sure, that loves that tournament as well. Okay, the next one for you is, what coach from speech do you think would be the most interesting dancer? Andrew?
Ooh, this is a tough one. I would have to go with Vance, okay? This man is sitting right across from me. I want to see Vance dance to literally anything. Put on a tune. I think Vance would be entertaining. I've never seen this man dance, but I know he's got some rhythm. And again, I don't care what song it is. Just put it on, and we'll see if he'll actually dance. So Vance, you got to take me up on this sometime.
That is a challenge that I am willing to take, Andrew. And I know that your move puts you up in my top 5, but I'm going to have to rank you second. Second behind Wayne State's Kevin Martirosian. If you do not know Kevin and what he brings to the table, if it's not excitement, if it's not a certain flash with that look, If you have not gotten a Kevin look when he's about to do something, you don't know energy, you don't know excitement. That's who I think is the most exciting coach that could dance on this circuit outside of you, Andrew. I've got to give it to Kevin. There is nobody who does it like he does.
I feel like I've seen Andrew and Kevin dance at some point. I'm not sure, but I feel like that has happened. But I feel like that would be a nice challenge. Vance, I feel like there could be a dance-off. We could get everybody together and do one solid dance-off. We do need to have something later today for entertainment, so maybe we just got a little volunteer. Okay, so the next one we have here is between the two. Should we add group improv or radio broadcasting to NSC next year? Andrew, you're up.
Oh, wow. I think both are really great, and both can be fun. I would probably have to go with radio, only in that I think it has some real applicable, like real world application, especially with how podcasting has exploded in terms of popularity. Not sure exactly what the event would look like. We're here in Illinois, we're really familiar with radio on the high school level. So I think it'd also be enticing for students from high school who did it then, and maybe they'll try it on the college circuit too. So,
though I supported radio broadcasting yesterday in the coaches meeting, I also heard some really exciting things about what group improv could be. To put 4 to 5 to even 6 people on a stage for a good 10 minutes, I think that could add something to NSC. The energy, the excitement, the chance to make up some things. Can you imagine my team president, Maliha Rashid, doing group improv? Not only would it have that extemp flair, but it would add a little bit of personality. I'm thinking that's the next direction. If I can't get radio broadcasting, give me group improv.
All right. Well, I think both are on the table right now. The students out there, why don't you vote by yourselves in the chat and in the polling, which we already have one of already. So go ahead and put your responses in there. Our next one is, what campus do you really wish would host NSC?
I guess I'll go first. That way Andrew can't take my idea. I'm thinking the University of Toronto. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Do they have a team? When we think about what NSC means to this activity, it's about breaking through and being a trailblazer and a pioneer. So why not go up north? Why not go across the border and enjoy our Canadian friends and all they offer to us? When I think about where I want to spend a good 3 days, I'm thinking Toronto. I'm thinking it's across the street from Detroit. Let's have some fun.
Toronto in March. Okay, I mean that sounds fine, but I would have to go with George Mason, just because NSC was supposed to be hosted there a couple of years ago, and then the pandemic happened, and it that never came to fruition. So I would love to be back at GMU, and I think Washington D.C. right in the backyard. There's plenty of touristy things to do. It's an incredible part of the country, so I have to go with GMU.
All right. Well, that's a very interesting take for both of you there. I particularly think it would be really funny if we had the national tournament in a different nation. That would be a really fun one. And then also, George Mason would be great. Talk to Dawn about it. She might be up for it. She might not. We do have host sites already picked for the next 3 years. So that'll be very fun to announce to everybody later. I'm not going to tell you what it is. But if you want to just go ahead and in the chat right now, take your shots at where do you think it's going to be next? Go ahead and type it in there, and then we'll have some debates about it. All right, my final question for the time being is, what speech team has the best students? Andrew, you're going to be up first.
Oh, this is easy. Obviously, Bradley. The students I get to work with on a day-in, day-out basis are absolutely incredible. And just to maybe highlight a couple, our student leaders this year, our president is Lily Piper. She's a senior. She's absolutely phenomenal. One of my favorite things about her is that she really stands up for women's issues. She stands up for what she believes in. And recently, she works at Starbucks. Our local Starbucks right across, where she works in Campus Town, has unionized, and she's been a part of those efforts, and that's been really cool to see. And then I'm going to go over time, but one more student, our other student leader, Vice President David Day. He's a junior. Really love David because he brings such a good vibe to the team, and in his free time, he preaches pretty consistently. So if you ever hear me call him Rev, that's why. And then he also has become really obsessed with Spanish because of some of the classes he's taking at Bradley, which you can see any team meeting we have, there'll probably be some degree of Spanglish happening.
And yes, Andrew went over time, but I'm hoping to recapture a little bit of it. I think some of the best students are any of you who made it through this pandemic and came here today in order to compete. So let me give you some props for that. But of course, I have to love the kids out of Chicago. They are my own. Let me thank these two seniors, Jerome and Maliha, because to have gone through the pandemic, their last nationals was all the way back in California. And so they are excited about this chance to come back and be in person. I want to thank my freshmen. Oh my God, it's so much to do college forensics, and they just hopped in and said, we're ready for the journey. And then my mid-classers have been a group that have tried to lead, but also one that's enjoyed this ride. And so I do love my kids more than anything in the world. Even when we're sitting around and having random conversations about McDonald's chemistry exams and playing Bunny Bunny, which they tried to teach me last week. I don't get it. So when you think about UIC, I want you to love Chicago, love the food, but love the people who come out of this place, because we are unique, we're different, and we're resilient. Go Flames.
All right. As somebody who was a original founder of the Chicago Swing back in the day, I gotta love those Chicago kids too, and of course everybody at Bradley, big fan. So congrats, thank you to everybody, thank you to Andrew, thank you to Vance. We have rounds coming up, so make sure you're getting to those rounds. Hopefully you've enjoyed a snack or a drink or whatever it is you're doing midday. I will see you back here for postings in just a bit. See you soon.